You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is February 21st, 2023 meeting of the LaPorte County Board of Zoning Appeals. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
That's kind of cool.
It's 6 o'clock. I need to record it so I can, because
I got Vern on the brain because Vern retired from security.
What's that?
I said I got Vern on the brain because he retired out of security.
Welcome, everybody. We will call the LaPorte County Board of Zoning regular meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Melissa Mullins-Mischke.
Here.
Glenn Minnick.
Here.
April Darley.
Here.
Vern Schaefer.
Here.
Deb Vance.
Here.
All right, we have a full board and a quorum. Next up is elections. Do we have a nomination for president?
I'd like to nominate Melissa for president. I'd like to nominate Melissa for president and Glenn for vice president.
I'll second the nomination for Melissa.
I'll second the nomination for Glenn.
Are there any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Madam President. I turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 20th meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right. Petitions this evening. Petition number 7 is going to be tabled until our March meeting. So if you're here for the special exception to operate a used car lot on 2005 West Highway 6 in LaPorte, that meeting's going to be postponed until next month. I will entertain a motion for petition number 1 to be removed from the table.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, petition number 1. For your variance of use for Nowak Farms, represented by Andrew Volz of House and House for running 3 businesses in existing building. ATF transfers, light machining work, auditing and consulting for the property located at 6036 North Nowak Road, LaPorte, Springfield Township, zoned R1B on 38.2 acres. And since it was tabled from last month,
2 months ago, I believe.
you're right, December. Your paperwork's all in order.
Yeah, notice is adequate from the previous meeting, and we made an announcement for this one, so we're good.
I don't know if this mic is working. Thank you, Ashley. Good evening, Madam President, and just to clarify, your previous motion was to remove petition number 1. This is petition number 1. Petition number 7 was the one that you were removing and to be tabled for next month.
You were on the table from December.
No, correct, but
So
you
that's-
had just indicated that petition number 7 was
It's
going to be...
postponed until
Yes.
our
you
next
were-
meeting, and this one is what's removed from the table.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Thank
All
you.
right. If I may approach, first of all, my name is Andrew Volz. I'm an attorney with House and House here in LaPorte County, representing Nowak Farms. I'd like to approach if I could, Madam President.
Please. Thank you.
Different sheets you have.
Yeah, that's the ATF part.
Okay, once again, good evening, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals, Madam President, Mr. Vice President, members of the board, Attorney Beege, Mr. Poland, and Ashley. I'm here representing Nowak Farms with regards to their petition that was filed back, excuse me, in December of 2022 that had been tabled until this meeting. I do need to make some clarification with regards to the actual language of the petition, in that the property is not currently zoned R1B. It's actually zoned agricultural. So I needed to correct that. Now, what we have here is a situation where we've got a family that owns this property through an LLC, which is pretty much irrelevant. But they're asking for a variance or special exception to operate 3 businesses in the existing building that's already there at 6036 North Nowak Road, in the form of ATF transfers with regards to Shoot to Thrill Customs LLC, which is the paperwork that I just gave you, light machining work, and then Nexos Compliance Auditing LLC. As I look through the JZO, I find it interesting in that it doesn't really even address what my client's concerns are. That being said, I know again there is some quote-unquote infighting with the family and whatever else, but we're asking for a variance, even though based upon the letter that was issued by Janet Cole approximately 8 years ago, indicates that there's no variance needed for Shoot to Thrill Customs. Excuse me. And when you look at what the highest best use of this property is, and again, it's not zoned R1B, it's zoned ag, this is all allowed. I printed out the JZO, I looked for it, I looked at it. I can't see where anything requires a special exception or a variance. That being said, we are going through the motions here to make sure that everything, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So we would ask then that the petition for variance of use filed by Nowak Farms back on December 1 of 2022, with then the amendment made that the property is not in fact zoned as R1B, it's actually zoned as ag, but it is in fact 38.2 acres, that they would be allowed to run those 3 businesses out of there in the existing building as they have been done for the period of the last 7-8 years here at this point. Concerning Shoot to Thrill Customs LLC, which is ATF transfers only, which is specifically referenced in the letter that was written, that does not require a variance, light machining work, and then auditing and consulting. So I would be open to any questions that the board may have.
Madam President, I'm looking over this, and it appears to me that it is zoned R1B, but the class is agricultural, cash, grain, general farm. So the class is ag, but the zoning appears to be R1B, as shown on Beacon. I'll show you. Here's the class as the zoning designation.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but then the problem is that all I
business
see
that
here
is-
is that
Acres,
38.2 acres, and then agricultural.
right?
So it's not showing up there. So then if you look at in the map, which I don't have, but you have it, it's an overlay.
Yeah. And this, it's consistent with this,
With the remainder.
yeah, with this over here. There's some
So
pieces over here.
So maybe Janet was accurate then when she directed him to do the way that he did it, but regardless, I don't know that there's a variance required anyway.
Yeah, but this zoning wouldn't affect that.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, that one doesn't turn off.
Oh, well, I'm on the record.
Sorry.
So we're clear on the zoning issue.
Apparently, as was indicated by Building Commissioner Poland, the overlay is R1B, although the class is ag. So there's a little bit of confusion there. That being said, there's no issue with regards to this petition. Because again, as you see from the letter that was issued by the Building Commissioner's Office almost 8 years ago, there's no need for a variance for number one, shoot to thrill. But then when you look at R1B and you look at then, okay, so then yes, we do need a variance for this to allow for quote unquote light machining work. But again, it's in a building that's already been in existence. This is not something new. We would just simply ask that the board would grant this request for the petition with regards to a variance of use, and then I will go back to and say then I will withdraw with regards to agricultural. Let's just go with R1B because it's lower. Ag wouldn't matter. So if R1B is what's on the table, which according to the petition it is, we would ask for a petition for variance of use to allow for running 3 businesses in the existing building that that is regarding ATF transfers for shoot to thrill, light machining work for NOAC Precision, and then auditing and consulting.
Well, this is a muddy record. I think the cleanest way to do it would be to, if the board's so inclined, make a motion just to simply grant the variances. I'm not sure you need to, but we want to make sure the record's clean as to the property use. So even though it may not legally be required, I would recommend, if you're so inclined, make a motion to grant the variances or decline them. They can always appeal, but even though it may be permitted and they've been going on, and even though they have a letter, we have a request before the board. Let's make sure the board's decision is clear.
Attorney BG, thank you for that, because that was the basis for this to continue tonight, as opposed to it being tabled or removed, is that I wanted to make for my clients the record clear that even if a variance isn't required, it would still be granted based upon board's motion. I don't believe it's required, I really don't, but that's why we're here tonight, is to indicate that, as Attorney BG said, this is kind of muddy here a little bit. So we just want to make everything clear moving forward. And then whatever the family decides that they're going to do with regards to LLCs and whatever else, that's irrelevant when it comes to your determination here. We are simply just asking for a variance, whether or not it's needed, to be granted. And again, it's muddy. When things get muddy, that's when I petition and ask for things from a board to make the decision. Because I don't want to go through an appeals process. I don't.
I have a question for you, Doug. I mean, normally when we would do this, we would be approached by the 3 business owners as, you know, renting a facility from the NOACs. The NOACs don't actually, as this is presented, the NOACs don't actually run these businesses, do they?
I don't know, the way the petition's presented, it looks like they are.
Mr. Minnick, to answer that question, there are entities that are run by NOAC individuals, but the underlying owner of the property, as pursuant to the Beacon report and everything else like that, is NOAC Farms LLC. So they may be running underneath that LLC, And I guess if we need to refile the petition with the specific names, I think we've already mentioned that with regards to shoot to throw customs and then some machining operations, and especially considering the notice that went out with regards to everything else that's been going on out there. Nowak Farms, at the end of the day, meaning Nowak Farms LLC, is the owner of the property. So they are requesting a variance to operate these three underlying businesses underneath their property. They are the proper petitioner in my mind. And again, I have representatives here from both Nowak Farms, Shoot to Thrill, etc., that could make statements or otherwise introduce into evidence some testimony with regards to what their intentions are. But at the end of the day, I don't know that I've ever encountered a situation where an underlying LLC is the proper entity to bring a variance, because at the end of the day, it is the owner of the property that's subject to the variance.
I think in the past we've seen where we have more than one petitioner is for her property purchase and not necessarily for the property rental. So I think if the variance is granted to the owner, that would apply to the subsequent tenants, notwithstanding any restrictions.
I agree. I think that's the only thing we can do is that we can act on this petition by saying that the Nowaks are allowed to run or rent space to three businesses. I don't think that we should even make a reference to what the businesses are.
You can do that. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Manick, I don't disagree with that. I think we're on the same page here in that, and again, I don't want to get in the weeds with this because I don't think it's appropriate. You hit the nail on the head. It's that, okay, this is the variance that's requested. Whatever happens underneath that makes no difference. I mean, we've identified what those uses are going to be, and and that's the reason for the variance. But to go further in the weeds on that with regards to what in fact they're doing or whatever else, now I think we're getting far outside the scope of what the BZA's ability is to either grant or deny a request. Because now we're talking about civil litigation, and I don't even want...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions from the board?
I do have one question, and obviously there had been some opposition to this petition for variance, and then that was rescinded today. I don't think there's any other opposition to this, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm going to be calling for remonstrators here in a moment.
Okay. Since I'm new, I just wanted to ask that question, I guess.
And Mr. Schaefer, I appreciate that because I've been in consultation with, I'm not going to say opposing counsel, but counsel on the other side or whatever, and there's been a family settlement agreement that's been worked out that I don't necessarily want to, again, get in the weeds with here at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any remonstrators this evening for this petition, either for or against? If there's anyone in favor of this petition or against it, now is your time to speak. Okay, seeing none, are there any further questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that the petition for variance of use for the Nowak Farms be granted to allow them to rent space for three businesses.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, petition number 2 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Hay Hooks Farm LLC to convert an existing pole barn into guest quarters for personal use. The property is located at 10477 North, 350 West, Michigan City, Springfield Township, zoned R1B on 71.253 acres.
No, it's adequate.
Thank you. give everyone a second here. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Melissa Seiler. Address is 10477 North 350 West, Michigan City.
And your name.
My name is Mike Smith with Smith Brothers Construction, 1205 A Street in LaPorte.
Thank you. So what are the plans for the existing pole barn? You want to use it for,
So we are putting an in-ground pool in, so we want to use the existing barn for a pool house and for home office space. Both my husband and I work from home.
thank you. Out of curiosity, are there any remonstrators tonight for this petition? Anybody for or against it? I feel kind of sad. The previous vice president used to ask all the time if this was going to be big enough. And I feel like after 15 years, I have that in my head. Is this barn going to be big enough?
Madam President, if I may, are you gonna run any new water to the barn, or is there existing?
There's existing right there.
There's existing. Okay.
Thank you. It's not in the
Ask a question now.
Why don't you go ahead and... When did you start construction on the... or reconstruction?
Sure, I think you started the outside work
Yeah.
probably about a month ago.
Yeah.
And is this going to be like guest quarters for family to come stay? It's just strictly for working from home in the pool.
Predominantly for working from home and the pool. I think if we had, family members in town for a short period of time, we may use, air mattresses on the ground for overflow. We've got 3 kids, so sometimes we can have extra guests.
And you understand, if we do approve this petition, it's no renting, strictly for
Yes,
personal
strictly
use.
personal.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Poland, have you been out to this? Have any inspections been done on the process, which is pretty far along?
Permits have been pulled. As far as inspections, do you know if any have been called for yet?
Well, the pole barn was already there. They're just redoing the roof and the siding right now. And then they'll get a remodel permit pending this. I think Scott was out there.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you guys can catch up on any problem there would be in the framework of the building.
Absolutely.
Are there any other questions from the board?
No.
If there are no further questions and there are no remonstrators, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to okay to convert an existing pole barn into guest quarters for personal use only, not for rental to outside people.
Do we also need to approve a secondary structure, the pool?
Yes.
Can we include that, April?
Yes. I will revise my recommendation to convert the existing pole barn into guest quarters for personal use without the ability to rent it to outside people, and for approval of installation of a pool.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you.
Petition number 3 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Charles and Rosaline Strother to make a legal pole barn with existing living quarters put in by previous owners. Current owner's parents reside in it. Property is located at 759 West 900 North, LaPorte, Springfield Township, zoned ag on 13.0824 acres.
No, it's adequate.
Thank you. Good evening. If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
Charles Strother, 759 West 900 North, LaPorte. And this is my wife, Rosalie.
Rosaline Strother, same address.
And it says that your mother is living in...
Both my parents.
Okay. How long have you owned the property?
5 years. Your favorite?
It is my favorite. I went like 3 of them. How long has your shipping container been on the property?
For probably 4 years.
Are there any remonstrators this evening for or against this petition? Anybody in favor or against the petition? Questions from the board?
So this question is for Mr. Poland again. Are you confident that you can catch up and do an inspection on this barn since it's never been?
No, I'm not. Whoever built that did not apply for any permits to our office and no inspections were performed. No certificate of occupancy was issued.
We were completely unaware of this when we purchased the property. It was an estate. The gentleman's passed away who was notorious for this behavior. There were many instances that we've gone through with this property, and we've permitted everything we've done. We permitted our pool, we permitted the septic, we permitted a new well, and we're never told along the way that this had not been legal. We purchased it with an appraisal. We're refinancing. That's why we were made aware of it, as the current appraiser told us about it. We had no idea.
When we purchased it, somebody was living in the pole barn, in the apartment. So we, of course, assumed that was legal.
How old are your parents?
In late 70s. My dad's 70, going to be 77. My mom's 74.
Okay. And you care for them also?
Yeah.
I mean, they're independent, but I provide for them, yes.
His mom had a ankle replacement, which is why they moved in with us, because that pole barn has no thresholds in it in the apartment. It has no stairs, so she was on the knee scooter and they had to move in with us.
If we approve this petition, you understand that once your parents aren't there, you're not going to be able to rent it out or do any kind of renting of the apartment going forward. It can be for your personal use, but not for rental.
Okay. And just a question, what would happen when we sell the property?
Well, the variance would go with the property.
Okay.
At this point.
But let's be clear, if I may, Madam President, you're asking for the variance to have the living quarters?
Right.
His parents.
That's as far as they can go tonight, okay? The fact that it was constructed without a permit, different subject.
Okay.
All right, so that, you know, that if the board grants you just to have it, let it exist, bank financing, title work, issues surrounding the non-permitted structure will remain.
What? I don't understand what that means.
They're not going to give you permission to have they're going to give you permission to have the living quarters, but they're not going to say it's inspected and safe.
I understand.
They don't know.
So in other words, you're saying that the value of it isn't considered in an appraisal. It's not as though somebody can't appraise it.
That's up to the appraisers, but my experience has been if there's an if there's an improvement without a certificate of occupancy, it's going to affect the value of that asset.
The county's too far behind to inspect it.
I don't know if it is or not.
You just said that.
Well,
What? Let me explain. To piggyback on what he said, some lenders won't lend if there's not a certificate of occupancy. I will not issue a certificate of occupancy if we haven't seen framing, we haven't seen behind the walls, we can't confirm that there's fire blocker where it's supposed to be, and that the wiring is done the way it's supposed to be. So That's the issue. But like the attorney said, it's a separate issue from the variance request that's in front of this board.
So we have to file another variance or petition for that?
Well,
get it
we
inspected.
can't,
Inspection?
we can't give you legal advice, but no, you're only talking about zoning here.
Right,
When we talk about building permits and certificates of occupancy, that's building safety. They don't have the authority to waive that,
right.
okay?
But you're saying you would not inspect it? Refusal to inspect.
The only way for me to confirm that there's fire blocker and everything behind the walls that is supposed to be there is to tear the walls out, so.
You'd have to get a remodel permit and we'd have to respect everything from the start.
Okay,
It's been done before.
okay.
Not, with due respect, his mom did it when she was building commissioner. So it can be done. It's not easy, but it can be done, but that's not for this forum.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Attorney BG, just to clarify,
So I have one more question, and maybe this, I apologize for interrupting. Apologize. So we've been taxed on the value of this for the last 5 years.
yeah, we have nothing to do with your taxing.
So we have to appeal that.
So we have to appeal.
So Attorney BG, can we make a motion contingent on certificate of occupancy and inspection? If that's what the board chooses to do.
That's worse.
You can.
Okay, thank you.
We're screwed on that.
What other questions do we have as a board?
The only other question is for both Mike and Doug, and that is, I'm with Melissa on making a contingent that everything's okay, but I'm okay with a third party doing an inspection on it and then passing it on to the building department. Is that okay? I think that gives you guys some options.
Is that like a home inspector, or what kind of?
Well, it would have to be more thorough than that, wouldn't it? Doug?
No home inspector. I think that's a subject addressed between the building committee. You gotta make sure he's happy with the construction, okay? So there's gonna be some areas that you might need to tear out and redo. But I don't think we can do that tonight. I would recommend you have a meeting with him and discuss it and find out what needs to be done with whoever you're gonna hire.
Okay, if there are no further questions from the board, and there are no remonstrators, I will entertain a motion.
So I'm going to make a motion that the variance be granted, but contingent on it being inspected and a occupancy permit given by the building inspector. And there again, whatever it takes, it can be a third party, but he needs to give an occupancy.
Okay.
And I think that's the best we can do.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, so I'm gonna have you work with the building department.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, petition number 4 this evening. Petition number 4 is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Jordan and Nina Bridegroom Seller and Jeffrey and Marcia Briggs buyer for construction on a parcel with less than 200 feet of road frontage and construction of an accessory building prior to the construction of the residence. Property is located next to 13978 South, 450 West Hannah Township, zoned ag on 16.68 acres.
That's adequate.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
We'll give him a moment.
The owner is in there. The owner apparently decided to let it go.
If you would, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Jeffrey Briggs, 110 City View Drive in Valparaiso.
Okay.
And I'm Marcy Briggs, same address.
Excuse me, and you have not owned this property too long, right?
We don't
don't
own
own it.
We don't own it yet.
Oh, you're the buyer.
Yep.
So I feel like we have previously granted a variance for this property. What brings you back in front of us then?
They said the new owners, we had to go in front and do the same thing, so.
Yeah, the people we're buying it from did this back in August, and then they just chose to sell it instead of doing anything.
Okay. Are there any remonstrators this evening for this petition? If you guys would like to have a seat, we'll hear from your remonstrator.
Hi, my name is Harold Michaels. I live at 4588 West, 1375 South. And my property is attached to the northeast corner of his on 1375. Mm-hmm. Last year when we were here with Jordan and John Mack sold it to them.
Right.
There were some variances put in place that they would not parcel the land out and there would be no driveway onto 1375. That was my only concern, that those variances would stay in place. Especially no driveway off
Yeah,
of
you wanted the
1375.
driveway off of here.
Yeah, because I thought that was unsafe anyway.
We did. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other remonstrators? So if there are any questions from the board, I will clarify that previously when we granted this variance, the driveway was coming off of 450 West as opposed to on 1375. So there's a big hill right there by the tracks. And we want to make sure there's no further subdivision of the parcel. So if you'd like to come back up. I don't know if they explained to you that we requested the driveway come off of 450 instead of 1375 and no further subdividing of the parcel.
Yeah, we did know that.
We knew about the no subdividing, we didn't know about the driveway.
Okay. Are you good with the driveway coming off? I don't remember the footage.
Not 100% sure. Yeah, we kind of was thinking about doing it on the other side, but.
Yeah, we definitely as a board felt that was not a safe entrance and exit to the property. Again, because of the railroad tracks and the hill that's kind of there.
Sure.
So that was one of the stipulations we made previously.
Okay.
Are there any further questions from you guys?
I have a question. That access road or area along the edge of the property, how wide is that easement?
I do not know how wide that is off the top of my head.
The one that we're saying that you should use?
The 450.
30 feet.
30 feet? And the adjacent property owner, this might not be a good question, I don't know, but the adjacent property owner is okay with you using that as a drive then? I mean, it's your property, but.
We haven't, we
The farmers have been using it for years.
Okay.
They don't come every day.
But most easements that are granted for
that is
access are usually 40 feet.
That is not an easement, that's actual property.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, as far as the width of it being 40 feet, because that's what county road easements are, but just was curious about how wide that actually was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that, by the way, is according to survey, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If there are no other questions, and I don't see any additional remonstrators, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the construction on a parcel with less than 200 feet of road frontage, with the stipulation that no driveway can be installed off of 1375.
And no further subdivisions.
And no further subdividing.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Congratulations. I thought about it.
Me too. I'm ready for it.
All right, petition number 5 this evening is a petition for variance of developmental standards for Jerome and Deborah Gann for construction of a second accessory structure, pole barn for personal use, 14 feet by 30 feet, for the property located at 7174 West Red Apple Drive, Michigan City, Cool Spring Township, zoned R1B.
Notice adequate.
Good evening. If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Jerome Gann, 7174 Red Apple Drive, Michigan City, Indiana.
Deborah Gann, same address.
Thank you.
So pretty.
All right. And you have not started construction on this pole barn yet?
No.
Where exactly is it going to be located on your property?
It's 25 feet from the east and
Mr. Gann, would you like to come up and mark on our map for me?
Koi pond, maybe?
Not this one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Still? Yep, we're consistent. Yeah, they're gonna go back here, so it's not up against.
The same place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. What are we gonna put in there? All the stuff that's in the backyard?
no.
Those construction materials?
It's mainly to get us out of the weather whenever we do work on something.
So kind of a
all
workshop?
All the stuff that was there is piled up. We had a fire, so it burned the building and all the equipment that was sitting there.
So just personal storage?
Yes.
Are you gonna run water and electric to it?
No. An extension cord if we ever needed anything, you know.
I should tell you guys, I live next door to my mother. She wishes I would build a big barn so I could put stuff in it.
I do a lot of other work, so it's like she wants me to cut back.
Are there any remonstrators this evening for this petition? Anyone for or against it? What other questions do we have as a board?
No.
Oh, here. I don't really have any questions, do you?
Stuff they want to cover up, that they have it on the open, because I haven't put stored.
It doesn't seem like it's gonna be big enough. Maybe they have to get.
Can I go bigger?
You've been talking to Dwayne.
No, you can't make it.
I think it. All right, if there are no further questions from the board, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll approve the variance for Jerome and Deborah Gann for construction of a second accessory structure pole barn for personal use, 14 by 30, and it will not have water or electricity.
I have a motion.
Wait, you it's funny because we have new board members, and after sitting here for, I don't know, 18 years, you do not need a variance for electric. It's only for water.
Maybe she doesn't want another fire.
She's got.
That's true. But we cannot deny access for electric, no matter how practical. But I just wanted, for general edification for the board, it's only for water you need a variance.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason that was developed, we had a problem with people living in sheds and barns for years. So that's why we require a variance.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Good luck.
Thank you.
Petition number 6 is a petition for variance of use for Gerald and Patricia Yoakum to operate an embroidery business out of the home. Property is located at 6316, check that, 6313 West, 450 South, LaPorte, New Durham Township, zoned ag on 3 acres.
Notice is adequate.
Thank you. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Gerald Yoakum, 6313 West, 450 South, LaPorte.
Patricia Yoakum, same address.
I would say, come on, Patricia. I think you're the brains of this operation, aren't you?
Well, I like to think so, yes.
So you're going to run an embroidery business out of your home?
Yes, I have been.
Okay. Do people, you don't have a parking issue? Because usually it's drop off, pick up.
No customers come to my home.
Do you do any alterations?
No, we don't have a sewing machine.
That was
Yeah.
for me. Okay. No customer.
Yeah.
What kind of business hours?
Monday through Friday, 8 to 4.
Do you do appointments on the weekends?
No. We do contract embroidery, which our sole, we only have one customer, and they're off the West Coast. So all of my work goes to California, Arizona, Nevada.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of FedEx, UPS trucks coming and going?
One truck a day. For sure, one truck from UPS. Occasionally, maybe 2 or 3 times a week from FedEx.
Okay. It doesn't sound too bad. Do you have a sign?
We have a sign on the garage.
Does that really count?
Well, just because I had it when I was in Michigan City and it was like in the way all the time. So we stuck it up there to get it out of our way. And I thought it looked good.
How big do you think it is?
4 by 3.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, if this sign is a problem, that can be.
Oh, not at all. I just want to make sure we include all of it when we do the approval for your variance.
Okay.
Are there any remonstrators tonight for this petition? If you'd like to have a seat, let's hear from these folks.
Hi, I'm Linda Kleine, 6282 West, 450 South, LaPorte.
What are your concerns, Linda?
The property operates out of the basement of the house, and it's on a 90-degree curve. And last summer, my husband counted the deliveries. There was between 17 and 20 a week. And we have the occasional semis and box trucks. And then she's been doing this for about 10 or 12 years now without a variance. So I don't know, does the county require any insurance or anything, or?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other remonstrators this evening for this petition? If you'd like to come back up for me.
Just want to be clear, she's hired employees, that's why she's here. If she didn't have employees, this would be considered a home occupation anyway. So it's she could do it without being here. So because she has employees, that's why she has to come here.
Leads me to my next question, which is how many employees are there?
We have 5. Part-time, all of them.
Okay. Do you really get big semis and things in there?
No, we tried to do freight when we first started, it just didn't work.
Okay.
And there were probably two back in like 2013 maybe, but we did it a couple times. It didn't work for us. And you know, we have 2 trucks a day. I don't think we have 15 trucks a week. That would be a lot.
Okay.
Maybe they're circling.
They could be.
Turn your mic on.
There you go.
Okay. Are there any additional questions from the board?
I guess when you're talking about truck traffic and whatever, is there access for turnaround or anything else if a truck comes in? You know, you say they unload on your property.
Right.
Can he
We
turn
have
around safely?
Well, you probably have seen pictures, right? So I don't know what kind of driveway you call it, but it comes in this end and goes out that end. So
On your microphone, please.
yeah, so you don't have to
Just saying that
turn. No trucks turn.
Right, you enter on one road, exit on the other side.
turn here. I'm driving on this road with the same. It's not. You don't want 2 people on it. But
Okay, thank you.
If there are no further questions from the board, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that the petition to run the business out of the home is granted. With assigned 3x4 and operation Monday through Friday 8 to 4.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second?
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, petition number 7 this evening was tabled until our meeting next month. Petition for variance of developmental standards for Ryan Wittenberg and Catherine O'Leary for construction of a pole barn for personal use in front of the home with a front setback of 13 feet. Property is located at 6231 West, 250 North, LaPorte, Cool Spring Township, zoned R1A on 4 acres. Petition number 8, are you here?
Notice adequate.
Good evening.
If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Ryan Wittenberg. Address is 6231 West 250 North, LaPorte, Indiana 46350.
All right, Ryan, if you'll give us just a moment.
Right here. Back up 13 feet from here. Ooh, there's a steep. So there's a steep drop off right here, but so this here looks okay.
So it looks like your property slopes to in the rear.
Everywhere, yeah, the edges and the rear is pretty sloped.
How big of a pole barn are you thinking?
30 by 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite a picture.
Can I? Well, I'm wondering where.
It says it's got that steep. Yeah.
So what part of the parcel are you thinking to for placement? I don't see anything that
There.
it looks like the only spot.
You should mark it on here.
Oh, like where this car is
Yeah, kind of where the car is on the
photo.
up there, yeah.
Yeah, this one.
And how tall is this? 30 by 40.
It'll be 14 feet on the sides.
And the peak height?
I'm not sure what the peak is, maybe another 3 to 4 feet.
Okay, interesting. What are you gonna store in there?
I plan on keeping my RV in there in the wintertime and then parking the cars in there and maybe putting a lift in there to do work on the cars.
Yeah. Are there any remonstrators this evening for this petition, either for or against? If you'd like to have a seat, let's hear from your remonstrators. If you'd like to come forward and if you would state your, oh no, she's leaving you to do it. That's all right. She's still leaving you to do it. If you would state your name and address for the record.
Mark Schiebel, address 6143 West 250 North.
What are your concerns?
So there are rules, standards that the county has, I think in the best interest of neighbors, and the setback for a residential house is 50 feet,
25.
25 feet. And is there something about an outbuilding in front of the house?
That's why they're here.
Sorry, you step up the microphone.
If you, thank you.
So
there we go.
With those two, I don't know what the setback for the building will be from the road.
They're asking for
13 feet.
It's not 25.
They're asking for 13 feet.
So, I mean, with that and in front of the house, it's like, to me, a no-brainer. Just concerned about it.
Careful.
Thank you.
Hi. My name is Linda Sweat, and I live at 2732 North Junkin Park Road. And I own the 2 acres next to the proposed structure. And I also own the land across from the structure, and I'm just concerned that with the 2 acres as a potential home site, that this would devalue my property.
Thank you. My only concern is that little curve right there. I don't like having a building that close up to the road with the line of sight. If we could get you to come back up, Brian. What other questions do we have as a board?
I guess my question to you is there any way to get that building farther from the road? That's pretty close.
The only way for me to get it further from the road would be the removal of several mature trees as well as quite a bit of grading, which would cost me quite a bit of money. It almost double the price of what it's going to cost me now.
Madam President, just for information purposes, the setback of 13 feet is from the property line, not from the road.
Right. If there are no further questions from the board, I will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that the petition for variance of developmental standards for Ryan Wittenberg and Catherine be denied.
We have a motion to deny. Is there a second?
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor to deny this petition signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Same sign.
Sorry.
Very good. I'm sorry, your petition is denied.
Okay, so now what?
I think if you contact the building commissioner's office, they can help you with what steps you can do next.
Okay.
Okay, petition number 9. I've been waiting all night for this one. Petition for variance of special exception for Matthew Oswald, owner, and Robert Marino, buyer, for keeping and raising a maximum of 30 chickens and 10 goats and or sheep for personal use for the property located at check that, 2584 North, 50 West, LaPorte, Center Township, zoned R1B on 2.441 acres. I think this cold is affecting my vision.
Yeah.
Notice adequate.
Thank you. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. It's Robert Marino. I live at 18711 Parkview Drive, New Buffalo, Michigan, 49117.
Robert, do you have 30 chickens in New Buffalo?
I do not.
Okay. Phew. So 30 chickens, I have 5 for the record. How are you gonna use the manure? That's a lot. I mean, even for 2 acres, that's a lot of, from 30, that's just chickens.
Right. We were told that we had to come up with a variance because I guess it said under 3 acres you had to come up with a variance. And there's no way that we're going to have 30 chickens right off the bat. We're going to be new at this. But we were instructed to put up to a certain amount because once the variance is in place, we cannot go above the variance.
Right, that's what I was looking for.
So we don't really plan on having 30 chickens right off the bat. So it's going to be more of less of what we can do on 1 acre versus what we can do on another acre. And this is contingent on us purchasing the house.
Okay, so I'm looking at our ordinances.
So we could be your out.
Yeah. Well, I was just liking sitting back here and everybody's been waiting all night for this one, so.
We actually are chicken friendly.
Yeah.
So it says here we're gonna do 50, we could do 50 chickens
Correct.
per acre.
Right, and up to, I think it was 10 goats.
10
and
goats,
horses.
but I was involved with the writing of this stuff. I don't think we intended for them to be together.
But I think because it's per acre, 1 acre would be dedicated to the chicken. That's how it was told.
I still think there's a lot of neighbors out here. I don't know how they're gonna do it. How many roosters?
None. The guy next to us has like 2 or 3
Yeah,
because
we
we heard
see.
him all day.
Yeah, we see them.
And again, like I said, we don't plan on doing this right off the bat, but not to keep
And not
coming
to
back for
exceed.
variance versus variance versus variance.
No roosters ever.
For now, no. We'd have to come back for that.
Are you gonna let them, so, since you're new at it, you're gonna have a coop and then you have a run with it?
Correct.
Generally?
Yeah, covered.
Is it gonna be a movable coop and run?
We could make it that if that's necessary.
Well, I'm asking, what are your plans?
You're
gonna let them
I would prefer to have
free
one
range
that
all day?
We'll define free range because we have. I've been told in the area you have to be really careful of some predators to them. So we would hopefully build one that would have some sort of enclosure to give them some decent range to move around. But if the preference would be to have just one solid place where they could do not have to move it around. If
So
I was told I had to.
maybe let them out in the morning?
Right. But I'm going to keep them mostly protected because if you see the plot, there's a huge grove of walnut trees behind it and stuff. So I'm sure there's a lot of predators that would love to feast.
So then let's talk about the addition of sheep or
Goats.
goats. Those goats are going to be in competition with your chickens, right? You're going to have zero grass.
Right.
So are you going to commingle everything, or is it? I haven't been there. You're fenced.
The outside of the property is fenced on one side with on 3 sides with a split rail, and then the property, I believe, to the north has a chain link or some sort of similar fence.
So, go ahead, Glenn.
Normally, when we're showing a petition like this, normally we would ask you to show us what you're doing. I mean, we just have a picture of your lot. I don't think, I mean, because you're gonna need to restrict those animals away from your neighbors. And those animals, particularly the goats, cannot be on your septic field, and you don't have a drawing of your septic field. And so for your own knowledge, I mean, at the very least, I need you to draw where you would plan to put these
Okay to approach?
animals.
So the septic field is, sure. Septic field, we just feel is literally right here. And the field runs in this direction, so we would look to do pretty much almost all of our goats and chickens toward the back of the property. If we needed to utilize up here, we could. If it would please the board or anybody else, if we needed to move the chickens closer, we could. But again, that would depend on where the septic field would end.
Well, LaPorte County actually has a rule that you have to have an alternative site, so it's not a good idea to be near the septic field.
Sure.
If I can get you to head back to the.
Sure.
So to kind of recap the drawing, you want to keep the majority of your animal activity to the
Rear of the property.
west of the property.
Correct. The rear, great.
The west side. But we do not know where the septic is at.
The septic is in the back of the house. Oh, yeah, I did. I drew it right. It's right off the back of the septic tank itself is right off the back of the concrete slab in the back.
Okay. So pretty close to the house. In the field?
The field, I'm not sure exactly where it runs. I'm assuming it runs, it would be straight west, the property, which is why the pool was moved off the center.
So field. I do.
It's right offset, yeah.
This much.
Right in there, yeah. What other questions do we have as a board?
My experience with goats, and again, they don't stay very well.
Oh, they don't.
And I don't know, without some kind of a rendering of what your plan is here, I don't know how unattractive this might be to have a fenced-in area for goats that it will actually keep them in. And so that would be my only concern at this moment. The chickens, I don't think that's a huge issue, but goats are naughty guys.
Yeah.
True.
We would probably put in as the drawing would say, we would obviously have to enclose with some sort of internal fence to keep them confined.
Okay, because I know they like to get on top of things.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
And we don't want any problems with your neighbors or anything else, or traffic if they get out.
Correct.
Structure.
That's what I would have said too. Yeah.
All right, well.
Let's find out what the neighbors think.
Were there any remonstrators tonight for or against this petition? If you have a seat,
sure.
Robert, let's see what they've got concerns with. Good evening.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm okay. I was going to say I'm well, but we all know that's not
kind of chicken to come up there, but here I am.
I see what you did there.
Okay, my name is Bruce Shelley. I live at 2606 North 50 West, which would be north of the said property for sale.
Bruce, do you have chickens?
No.
Who's got the rooster? Who's got the rooster?
My next door neighbor to the right of me.
Oh.
Yeah. But he's got a big tall fence, and
okay.
You get kind of used to them. But anyway, my main concern is for health reasons. I've lived on my property for 38 and a half years, and in my opinion, that is way too many chickens and other animals for that amount of property. And as some of you probably know, goats, they roam. It takes a lot of area to roam. I mean, not on 2.5 acres. You're going to need way more than that. And my wife in the past has had histoplasmosis, and that is from chicken poop. When we first moved into the property, we was doing some digging in the backyard, and previous owners had chickens back there, and she was pretty sick. But anyway, it affects the lungs and her breathing. And as we all know, chickens bring in flies, lice, and other rodents, including coyotes. Not to mention the smell. Also, chickens get lice, mites, ticks, and worms. Chicken manure has to be put in a compost heap somewhere to deposit it all until it ages. If the wind is blowing in the right direction toward my property, you would not want to be outside, as we spend a lot of time outdoors. Noise can also be a real problem with chickens and goats. Plus, my property value will go down. I'm on fixed income, so that's a big deal there. And then another big concern I would have is if you let them have the variance, then other property owners may want to do the same. I guess that's about all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you'd like to come forward.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Plant. I live at 2551 North 50 West. I'm one house northeast of the house that the individuals are interested in purchasing. We in the area, there's a few individuals that have chickens, have roosters, may have some ducks in it. Very limited. Everybody in the neighborhood, they're fine with that. We think that this, for the piece of property in question, there is also a swimming pool there that the previous owners, I can't say about the new owners if these people are going to buy the house for sure. But to me, that's another concern with the chickens along with the goats all in the backyard and the pool. To me, that creates a very big health situation for everyone or people that would come over. The chickens that we have in the area, and that occasionally they want to walk, they want to come out. They've been out near the roads and that. The fence, the gentleman, yes, there is a fence around the property and that. I don't think that would be adequate to hold the chickens in or the goats themselves. It's a vinyl fence. The gaps are fairly well in the fencing and that, and it would be it's really not that tall. The goats could, or even the sheep, could very easily go over the fence itself. Like I said, we're not, if it was a few animals, I think, that wouldn't be, a problem. We have them there. Everybody's got along with it. Everybody understands. It's kind of neat. Once in a while, you got the rooster waking you up, when you don't want to. That's fine. We like that. But we feel that the amount, even if they only start out with 5, but, they're looking at possibly down the road 10, 20, that seems to be an awful large quantity for that piece of property.
When you say a few, how many, in your opinion, is acceptable?
Well, I'm thinking that most of them in the area, maybe 4 or 5. I don't know for sure. Is this just what I've seen? And it's not everybody. There's probably 3 or 4 houses in the area, but everybody's, decent with it. It's just like the dogs in the area, the cats in the area, and that, everybody's, pretty respectful of everybody else's. Once in a while, the critters get a little loose, we just try and help them get them back to their rightful owners and that.
Okay.
But I think in this case, it just seems to be way too many for the property that's, involved in this case.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yep, thanks.
Any other remonstrators? All right.
So if I may just add, I'm actually a physician, and I can absolutely attest to the gentleman's issue with his wife and the histoplasmosis and stuff. So I am absolutely fine with withdrawing the variance request.
completely withdrawing, or you? I think.
I am. When I hear about the health issues that she's had and stuff like that, and some of the concerns the neighbors had, we did this because we were looking to purchase property, and this is one of the things that we wanted to do. We would only move forward. We would only move forward with the purchasing of the house.
Sure.
Of course, if the variance went through, there's no reason to purchase the house if we're not going to be able to do what we're required to do. One of the steps was this, which is fine. And if all the neighbors were fine with it, that was absolutely fine with Julie and myself. That's my wife back there. So, but, you know, if there was just some minor concerns, that would be something we might want to work through. But if there's truly a medical concern, me being a physician and my wife being a nurse, then we are absolutely, we're just talking about, I'm absolutely fine with withdrawing the petition.
Okay.
Make it easy.
I'm so sorry. Well, thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Not a problem.
And thank you all for your patience.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Attorney BG, is there any further business in front of the board this evening?
No, ma'am. I have an off-record comment to make before we leave.
Thank you.
Commissioner Poland, do you have any further business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good evening. Thank you, everyone.